Welcome to AI Marketing, a podcast for sales and marketing professionals that want to increase their sales, leads, and conversions through the use of artificial intelligence solutions. And now, here's your host, Mark Fidelman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to AI Marketing. Today, we're going to talk about Agentic AI. In fact, this to me is an emerging field. We already see AI agents. And I'm very happy to introduce Christian Monberg from Zeta Global and hear him and his thoughts, because they're on the bleeding edge of this stuff. And I know you love guests that are going to tell us what we should be doing and what we should be looking for and how to prepare for it. But before we jump in, Christian, and you go by Christian or Chris?
Christian's great.
Okay, Christian, why don't you introduce yourself and then we'll jump right in.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks for having me today. So I'm the CTO and head of product here at Zeta Global. Zeta acquired my company a while back, and I've spent the better part of the last 12 or 15 years really focused on AI in marketing.
Wow. All right. Good. Perfect person for us today. All right. Let me just kick things off because, this has kind of been an issue, and that is people talk about agentic AI and others talk about AI agents. To me, they're not the same thing, but related. Could you define those for us and give us examples, or at least explain to us how they're different?
Sure. Yeah. This comes up often, and I think it's people's overall lack of comfort with the topic. So they're trying to find a slice that they can focus on. The way that we see it is an agent is something that's very task specific. It's focused to go solve a specific goal. You can think about it kind of like having a knife in the kitchen. It's made for cutting a certain kind of meat or a certain kind of onion. And then the concept of agentic AI more broadly, and we talk a lot about agentic applications, is pulling those agents together. So that's kind of the new part, but it's really the underpinnings of all of those agents. Those underpinnings are services. It tends to need to be a deterministic data foundation, and we'll probably come back to this today, but AI is a increasingly probabilistic world right now. And for that to work, especially in marketing and other ERP-like tasks, you need to have that deterministic data as the underpinnings of it. So it becomes a design philosophy of how you put together a system with a data fabric. Agents, services, MCP endpoints have come up a lot as of late. A2A is another way agents talk to each other. And then having the right quality and trust checks built into that architecture so that the entire agentic system can work in a more automated way. My guess is today we'll talk a bit about how much human intervention is the right amount of human intervention. And that has to do with an adoption curve that's probably familiar from most new technology adoption cycles.
Okay, you did mention MCP, which is Model Context Protocol. We've had a whole show on that, but what's A to A?
Agent to agent. This really came out of Google, and it's probably self-explanatory.
Yeah, it is. All right. So I know I'm speaking for most marketers when I'm asking, is agentic AI going to kill the marketing funnel as we know it, or is it just going to automate it better?
Oh, gosh. There's a short-term and a long-term view on that. I think today, to be successful in this business, you really need to focus on the jobs to be done for marketers, and that funnel is very well understood. You need to create software that supports marketers in achieving their goals throughout that funnel at each step. Agentic AI is something that will be woven into that process at a velocity at which the marketers can actually adopt it, because there's still some skepticism. And truthfully, most of the AI I've seen out in the marketplace, especially the agentic AI solutions, or they claim to be, have massive gaps in them. So there's a big piece of showing marketers how to do the same jobs using the automation, integrity of data, and intelligence of agentic AI systems, but also helping them build trust with each incremental step, trust and verify all the way out through. So in the short term, I believe that agentic AI is going to accelerate marketers and allow them to do their jobs differently and better. When I say differently, I mean, most marketers run their funnels and run most of their marketing campaigns fairly similar day to day, month to month, year to year. Um, and at Zeta, we think that's, leaves opportunity in front of them. The data and intelligence, especially when it's tied to identity, allows them to see the world through a new context, a new perspective. When they have new opportunities to market, again, you have to build trust with them and forecast those opportunities. These are all things that agentic AI is quite good at doing. The last step of actually automating that workflow for them, we're not there now. I don't see anybody in enterprises do it. I do see some SMBs do it. And I'll reflect on my own experience. When I started doing this back in 2013, we had customers that would come into the platform, log in for the first month, set things up, get comfortable with it, and then they wouldn't log in again. And AI would run their marketing curriculum for them. Back then, it was what we'd call predictive AI. And all those algorithms we had to write by hand. You couldn't go check them out of a library or borrow one from AWS. But that was for the mom and pop shop that just didn't have somebody to sit in a marketing function, and their brand wasn't as dimensional as some of these big enterprises. If you think about the biggest, Fortune 100 brands out there, those brands have a tremendous amount of dimension to them. They've got risk that they need to manage. They've got compliance they need to manage. They've got a boss they need to manage around it. And so we've got more humans in the loop for expressing a brand in the enterprise right now. That human in the loop, their time can either be spent munging through spreadsheets, trying to find a needle in the haystack, or learning how to use AI tools, both agents and agentic AI systems, to accelerate their work and get to new outcomes than what they got to yesterday or last month or last year.
Okay. Wow. I mean, great explanation of that. I think from my perspective, it's only going to enhance our role as marketers in the marketing funnel. I just think in the future, 5 years out, you call it A to A, agent to agent. A lot of what's going to be done are agents either marketing to other agents or just fulfilling needs of other agents that are consumers. But I might be a little optimistic on that timeline. So
Maybe. I mean, it's the more is done in 10 years, less is done in 2 years, and more is done in 10 years than we ever
yeah.
expected. I mean, we see this today, Mark, especially in programmatic media. There's bots selling to bots.
Exactly.
There's a study I read recently that half of the internet, well, close to half, I won't set the exact number, are machines talking to machines, trying to fulfill a machine's needs. So that's something that we can be conscious of. And it's actually why that deterministic foundation I spoke about earlier is so vital. Really understanding who you are, Mark, where you live, what your interests are, and what you want to engage with or buy online is vitally important. So you don't get into this echo chamber of Siri talking to Alexa.
Yeah. Well, the reason I am predicting this, and I pretty much will guarantee it's going to happen at some point, is I don't know if any of you have ever done this. Let me know in the comments if you have. But there was this popular prompt that came out this year where it basically says, essentially it says, act as a CI agent and tell me my strengths and weaknesses and my threats. And by golly, it knew me pretty dang well. So it came up with this fictionalized CIA portfolio on me, and it was pretty damn accurate. So it already knows a lot about me. So the next step, of course, would be, yes, it knows about you. It'll keep my identity secret, but it'll also be looking for things or hearing from people that it'll know I like or not and be rejecting it or bring it to my attention if it thinks it's interesting, just based on how I'm using AI every single day. So I'm pretty sure somebody's going to come up with a solution in the next 5 years.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the first question is, are you on the most wanted list? Because we should get that out of the way now.
Not yet, as far as
Not
AI is
yet.
concerned.
Not yet.
Yes.
All right. So I think that's absolutely true. There's one piece to it that harkens back to building personalization systems over a decade ago, which is serendipity. We used to call it the window shopping experience. So it's one thing to have OpenAI recommend the exact right sweater for you because it knows your size, it knows your style, it knows where you live in California or in the Northeast. It's another thing to enjoy shopping, which I don't, but I know many people that do love to just go walk by the stores and look at the mannequins and get a feel for the brand that way and decide if they want to dive deeper into a relationship with that brand. So that's something that still needs to be solved. I think
Well,
that,
I look at it though, real quick, Christian, is just like Netflix. Netflix doesn't know me that well, not as well as AI, but it is suggesting movies or shows based on what other people like me are liking. And I think, yes, serendipity, that's very important for that to happen. But I think we'll see that same impact, same Netflix impact with AI talking to my AI and saying, yeah, I know he's never expressed to you that he's interested in it, but we just think because other people like him like this, that he should at least take a look at it. So I think we'll
yeah,
see that.
oh, without a doubt, it brings up two things. One is we're at a stage with agents specifically that are still fairly generic, not true for all agents and not true for all companies. The agents and agentic AI platforms do need to get to know you better, and we'll see a lot more energy going into context services that store some latent understanding of who you are as well as your activities. For Zeta, we would do that across the open web in certain ways. If you're in ChatGPT, it'll look at all of your chats, but it's as much context as you can get. The next component of it is what experiences require a UI, what experiences require no UI. Window shopping needs a UI, and we'll see more UI on demand. Something I've been exploring quite a bit is this concept of UI on demand. We call it Gen UI. In previous years and decades, when you buy enterprise software, you buy something big and wide with a lot of features. It's kind of like building a skyscraper. It is what it is. You're going to have to adapt yourself and the way you work to the office floor you get in that skyscraper. Moving forward, I think you're going to find that instead of buying the skyscraper, you're going to buy the factory that built it. And you'll have rooms and whiteboards and hallways and common spaces that can move around and adapt to you as you need them. Obviously, that's a hard thing to do with real spaces, but with software, it will adapt to you. There will be canonical components, front-end components, services, MCP endpoints, as we talked about earlier, and all of those will compile in real time to create the experience that's necessary for that window shopping experience. Or if you're a CFO and you want to look at how marketing's driving logistics for your business and you're curious about your warehousing or inventory, you'll be able to build a UI for that, probably through voice, certainly through voice or through typing, quite literally in moments. And you may only use that UI once to find the answer, to build a hypothesis or to build and run a simulation, and then it will be gone again. And so the very nature of enterprise software needs to change, and our design fundamentals need to change to create affordances that are right for this new era of AI computing.
Yeah, and it's going to take a little bit of time. That's why I say 5 years. Okay, let me throw some things at you, and these are a little controversial takes. No wrong answer here. None of us have a crystal ball. But if agents can write the email, send the email, book the call, and close the deal, what the hell are CMOs even going to do in 2026, 2027?
Oh, sail, maybe get a yacht somewhere.
But where's the money coming from if they're no longer
Yeah,
employed?
yeah, right. Well, that's a good question. I think this hits on there's two main questions to this. One is more existential, which is the world is going to be is going to be filled with a lot more automation, whether you're a warehouse worker for UPS or you're a marketer at a Fortune 100 company. AI will be automating more and more parts of our jobs away. And this also, I serve on the board of my engineering school. It's a existential issue for them as well. What do they teach these days to make sure that these students still have a job in 5 years? So marketers inherently get into marketing for a variety of reasons. They're empathetic, they're creative, they're data driven, and everybody's got a little bit of a twist and more skills. In the short term, I believe that AI agents are going to take away some of the more tedious work in marketing that doesn't actually serve them that well. And where it does serve them well, they're probably not doing an optimal job. Looking through a spreadsheet for an answer is silly. We've all used an agent at this point in time that can find more insights in 1 second in data than we ever could pouring over spreadsheets in weeks. So it will present marketers with new opportunities. Next, those marketers will be able to spend time, I believe, on the more creative and strategic parts of their job. So this starts to get to what actually builds a brand. There's a lot of ego in marketing. There's a lot of ego in all of our jobs. We all want to be more important than the robots. So for the short term, I think that we're going to maintain humans in the loop and give them a position of power. We learned long ago, and there's a seminal paper written on this, if we really want to get optimal outcomes, we need to get out of the way of AI. AI will optimize much better than humans will on their own, and in many ways, that's stymied the progress of AI. But that's the nature of the world right now. Let's call that for the next 5 years. Your question about what's going to happen when people are no longer needed to run organizations or drive profit,
Well,
I think
I
is
didn't say that. I said, what
okay.
are CMOs going to do when all of this starts becoming more and more prevalent? We're going to see this. There's no question.
Yeah,
So what are
yeah.
CMOs supposed to do?
Well, CMOs need to start adopting and preparing their organization for the AI world. They need to start driving change inside the organization so that all the marketers are using these agents, learning how to adapt them. The old adage that AI is not going to replace you, but somebody that knows how to use AI
Yes.
will, is step one inside of this 5 year window.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you. I've just quoted that many times. And it's funny you said old adage. I've only heard it for the last 6 months. But it's already becoming old. And I'm hoping everyone on here, if you're a listener, you already know this. You've got to be adopting these tools and trying them, getting educated about them, or else you'll be replaced by somebody that's 10x your productive level because they've already incorporated this into their business, maybe a previous business, what have you. So, if you've been
And
listening
Mark,
to this, you've been warned.
there's no real protection for that. I see, I'll talk about engineers that I see around the industry, whether they work at Meta or a little tiny startup. Young engineers are hungry for this because they see an opportunity to distinguish themselves. Some of the older, more capable engineers have actually been the slowest to take this up, and very quickly they're being overshadowed. And then you've got another tier of individuals inside an organization that often make up the executive branch that are reading Wall Street Journal articles and mandating AI transition or transformation, but they themselves don't understand what that means. And I think that that's going to separate the best leaders in the industry from the people that wash out of jobs in the next 5 years, or probably shorter, the next 18 months. The understanding the limitations of AI, getting it out on the table and molding the clay, knowing what it's capable of, is a vital part of setting a strategy right now. And that includes the CMO question you just asked. So this is throughout an organization. 20 years, a 20-year, 30-year-old CMO veteran is not safe from this transformation. And they themselves, I believe, need to get deep into understanding how AI is going to change their organization, their industry, and their job.
Wow. Okay. Let's shift from CMOs to influencers. Do you think agentic AI will eventually outperform influencers? I mean, could an
Yeah,
AI persona be your brand?
yeah, definitely. We're already seeing it, right? And that's all walks of entertainment.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't even know how to really comprehend that change because it's such a massive disruptor to so many industries that are really instilled in our culture.
Yeah. And then my next question around that, and this is one I can't answer. I don't know, and I've been in this field for a long time. So what happens when, agents from competitors compete against each other for attention, the clicks and the deals? Are we going to witness some sort of AI to AI marketing warfare?
Yeah, what would that look like, Mark?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That's a good question. That's like a
Yeah,
game theory
yeah,
question here.
yeah. No, there's got to be controls on this, and I think the industry needs to effectively build those controls. We have patterns for this. So I'll use the programmatic industry where there's DSPs that have AI that's trying to optimize for local and broad goals. They are competing against other brands, oftentimes inside the same inventory flow. And there's controls in place that prevent those bidders from going crazy and outbidding themselves to the moon and back. So my guess is that as this agentic AI industry continues to evolve, a big part of this is going to be putting the right controls in place. And we already see that with some brand safety controls. We certainly see that with trust, compliance, and privacy. But making sure that our agents don't get in a yelling match with other brands' agents will
Yeah.
probably be the next layer.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting. Lots of popcorn when that starts happening. Okay. All right. Here's a technical question because we have some tech marketers that listen to us. What is the tech stack behind a real agentic marketing system today? Not the hype, but the real operation behind it. Can you walk us through it?
Yeah. Gosh, that's a great question, and probably hard to do off the cuff, but I can hit on the big pieces.
Yeah, and we could post, what you're doing at Zeta in the description if you want.
Sure. So I would start with that deterministic data layer. That's vital for businesses like ours. And I talked about ERP earlier. I think that's a really important piece of it. And that can be built using AI development methodologies and QA development methodologies, but it's something that takes years and a lot of know-how to build. That is going to be fundamental to any company. A differentiator in that space would be proprietary data and identity asset, and that gets to the deterministic nature of it. I believe that to thrive in this era, especially in marketing, you need to have access to data from outside the four walls of a brand and understand individuals really well. That's something that Zeta certainly focuses on, but I believe that to be true no matter what. Data and access to data is going to be the core of your agentic stack. Next, you are going to need a way to access that data, and that's going to be a combination of traditional endpoints for throughput, but you're going to see a lot of MCP services pop up everywhere for every single endpoint you could possibly think of. I have some not concerns, but I've kind of earmarked these MCP endpoints to understand when they work at scale, because some services really have to work at a huge scale that hasn't been proven out in an MCP environment yet. I'm fairly certain we are going to solve for that. Now, this is really important. When you're orchestrating these services, you need to build in monitoring and observability early. I'll add a third to it, which is metering. So observability is a tech term. It means you can actually look and introspect your services, understand how they work so you can fix them later. Metering has to do with how much these endpoints and data is being accessed. You're also going to need metering on your models themselves. Costs can run wild in an agentic world, especially when you have 5, 10, 50 agents working on a problem to automate it along the way. And any business will need to maintain those costs. I'll talk a little bit about the LLM layer, but before I get into that, I want to talk about context. I believe a context service is really vital. I don't want to confuse that with context engineering. Context we spoke about earlier. For these agents to be impactful and successful, they need to be able to quickly access pretty vast amounts of context. And we all know the experience. Well, most of your listeners, I'm assuming, know the difference between a personalized result from an agent and one that is very generic. Those personalized results become gold. They actually become an extension of you, and they become a trusted advisor for all of your jobs. So context services need to be thought through early, especially as you think about access patterns to the LLMs. And there's lots of ways of doing that context, including encoding that context in the LLM itself in post-training or even pre-training. Now, the LLMs themselves, I'll may step in it myself right here. I believe they're starting to converge a bit in terms of capabilities. There's certainly specializations between different LLMs, but the step functions that we saw this time last year, the steps are just getting much smaller. You see that with each new iteration of an LLM that comes out. So that means you need a serving infrastructure. I believe that that serving infrastructure needs to route to the right LLM And those agents need to be routed thoughtfully by your organization. Now, the next big thing that not a lot of people are talking about yet, but is a problem. Last thing you need is 1,000 agents that don't know what the other agents are doing. You probably already have 1,000 employees and only half of them talk to each other. So you don't want to multiply the problem or amplify the problem. So I believe that the final layer on this is, you may call it a super agent, that is actually orchestrating all of that context, all of those agents, access to the right data together to meet the marketers or the end users' demand specifically. Throughout the stack, there's a variety of big players that are solving problems and small players that are solving problems. And when I go and meet with investors, they all want to know who the 12-person upstart is that's actually making a dent in this space, because there's a lot of noise right now. I think that space is going to change. There's a couple winners that I would consider betting on, but time will tell. I'm also seeing some of the big players like AWS, Amazon, as an example, building really great infrastructure with services like Bedrock. And we probably don't need to solve that in a lot of different ways. There's concerns about running that in the cloud versus running it locally. So that may be solved. But for most organizations that are running fast and their innovation curve is up to the right, they're not thinking about serving this stuff locally unless their compute is sky high. And you're only going to find that really with the foundation models anyways at this point.
Wow. Okay, great. Love that explanation. Very detailed. Just a couple more questions here, Christian. But I like to play this balance. I'm a big proponent of AI, but I'm realistic. So I want to go dystopian with you. What do you think the dark side of agentic AI in marketing is going to be or could be, and how do we take steps to avoid it?
So I'm an optimist with AI, Mark, so I might not be your best guest to ask that question to. Beyond the question you asked earlier, which is how do people create meaning in their job? And we all, as human beings, we need meaning to survive. And oftentimes work is a big source of that meaning. That's the answer for me. I broadly see this as a incredible time saver at work. I believe that it could lead to cultural changes. And we won't get into UBI or the 4-day work week in this conversation today, but
Right.
I do believe that good things could come for marketers. I'll point to an example. Today, even we can generate PowerPoints from our platform, and marketers sit around and they build PowerPoints and they get into Excel and they build out a table, and then they go and present it to their boss, and their boss says great, and it gets metaphorically dusty in their inbox after that. I think in the very near future, a marketer will say, please send my boss a podcast like update on how work's doing. It gets delivered to their iPhone app, and while they're on a run in the morning or walking the dog in the morning, they get a complete update, which they can respond to with questions. And the update won't just be a generic update. It'll be mindful of all the questions they've asked in the past. These are examples of how it just makes our life a lot better. So the dystopian future, that is something that, the sci-fi books have been written, and I'm an avid sci-fi reader as well. I have concerns there, but for day-to-day jobs, the way we do work and the way we collaborate with our colleagues, I'm very bullish on it. And I see a bright future in the short to medium term.
Okay, I have a different perspective. I absolutely see what's going to happen, and we have to figure out how to mitigate it. We all know that there's quite a few clever people out there doing social engineering, especially around marketing. And I can't even imagine, especially when we get to AGI, how manipulative AI could be in terms of getting you to buy things or do things or whatever that's not in your best interest. So, and it can do it really quick, really fast, in a really powerful way. We already have fake voices of people that might sound like you in videos and all that. It's going to get pretty scary at some point, and then there'll be companies that there'll either be legislation or companies that help identify these types of things, because the best way to fight against something like that is another agent looking around the web form. But
Yeah.
I think
Mark,
you're going to see these things, but we're also going to see, there's more people that that want to stop these things, that want to put them out there. We know that from history. So it'll be a constant fight, but we'll win the fight.
so Mark, I agree with you. A quick note on that. I think we're already there. People are already buying things and getting ads for things and becoming um, becoming just a puff of a human being sitting on their couch, staring at their iPad and scrolling through Reddit or Facebook or seeing ads on other sites. So I agree that we are, to a detriment, being reshaped by the media that we're engaging with. And I agree with you that the fakes are going to be scary. Like you said, I also believe the only way to solve that is to out AI it. And I also believe that on maybe potentially bigger ideas like national defense. Like the best way for us to defend our country is to continue focusing on threat detection through AI. The best way for banks to secure my money is to invest in AI. So we'll out AI the bad guys over the long run, is my hope.
Yeah, we will. I have no doubt. All right, last question before we wrap things up. What's the most impressive thing that you've seen one of these AI agents or agentic systems do that have made your jaw hit the floor?
Oh man, there's so many. And
Well, if
over
you
the
want me to
last,
start, I'll start. But if you don't,
okay,
all
yep,
right. I
please.
mean, uh, I don't remember the company that did this, but they placed me in an ad wearing their different clothes. And it was just on the fly, I created a video that kept me swapping clothes in different situations after learning what I liked or didn't like. So it put me on the water on a jet ski and in uh, their swim shorts. And it was very realistic. And I'm like, shoot, I look good in those. So I don't know how much time they spent. I said, how do I buy this? And they're like, well, it's not quite ready yet. But yeah, that was really impressive. How about you?
That's super impressive. For me, it's probably the missing links for marketers and for myself. So we're building and releasing something right now that allows you to build your own super agent. It takes a lot of context and what I call capabilities all together. So, if you currently work with Shopify and Snowflake and you have data in USPS for shipping, and you've been behaving a certain way in the platform, we've pulled all that together and poured it into an LLM, and it's able to make connections that we didn't ask for it to make. It'll actually tell you how to make the best use out of your specific data based off all of the understanding it has of you and the ecosystem and the goals that are aligned with your job. Uh, just last night, actually, this came together, and a developer was showing me. He said, "Hey, I just asked the agent or the agentic AI solution, what I should do with all of this," and it put together an entire curriculum with revenue goals for me. And I went through and watched the video, and I was shocked that these connections could be made without any introduction of additional information from us. Now, who knows what's embedded deep in a lot of these LLMs? I think we'll all be finding that out. But I'll maybe wrap that up by saying the things that are shocking me are some of the hidden intelligence that are deep inside of these massive foundation models that we'll all be putting into new use cases. And I suspect that we'll have many more jaw hit the floor moments over the coming 12 months as people are moving from beyond being overwhelmed by these large LLMs to actually finding new use cases for them that change the way we do work as we know it.
Wonderful. Right on. All right. Well, this is your chance to tell us more about Zeta Global and what you guys are doing and what's exciting. We already know about the super agent. So tell us where we can find you, the company, and what you guys are doing.
Sure, absolutely. So, as Zeta Global is a company that's really focused on AI-powered software. We help enterprise drive more efficient and effective marketing at a lower cost, which is pretty simple. A lot of marketing is very siloed. They've got inefficient workflows, data everywhere from the cloud to underneath John's desk in a service that he built a long time ago. We want to make an engine of profitability and growth. So we've got a federated data strategy, pulls all of that together. We can take fragmented point solutions and third-party data that traditionally results in a very disconnected customer experience, and we stitch it together. We unify the data, the intelligence, and the activation in an AI native platform. It's a single platform. We built it from the ground up to drive real-time revenue generating engagement across customer life cycles and across all of the channels. Like I said earlier, we've got a proprietary data asset. We call it the Data Cloud. Has data on 245 million consumers in it. That helps us understand people both through the lens of a single brand and outside of the brand. So in your example, you use jet skiing. I don't know if you jet ski or not. If you do, that's great. If you don't, maybe it should have picked snowboarding or something else.
I do that too.
Oh, awesome. Perfect. Polymath and a man of many talents. So that's what we've been focused on. We went public in 2021, I believe, and we flew the banner data plus AI, which is something I think I wrote my first patent on AI in 2013. It's something that we've been thinking about for a long time, and it's deep in the fabric, in our DNA of how we think about building software. And so it's been going really well. The business continues really to thrive. We've got our big event called Zeta Live coming up on October 9th, which is where we bring together marketers, analysts, investors, and even students of this space together for a one-day event where we go through our roadmap. We let people demo our platform in real time. We're big fans of showing, not telling. When you've got software, it's good just to put it in people's hands. There's no big configuration for it. You just let people rip. And at that event, we'll be unveiling a lot of really exciting agentic AI applications, things that we know are at the forefront of the AI revolution in marketing. And we're excited to be working with our customers to co-author what that future is and make sure that we're driving value along the way.
All right. Love it. So with that, we are going to wrap things up. Christian, thank you so much for being on. We'd love to have you back in the next 6 months or so to see how quickly things have changed and moved towards some of the predictions on this call. And again, we don't have crystal ball, folks, but the trend is the trend. It's not going to stop. So what we're saying is accurate. I didn't hear anything that I didn't think wasn't going to happen, but the timing is the only question mark. But why wait? Why wait? Get on board now. All right. Thanks again, and look forward to our next podcast together.
Mark, thanks for having me. Absolute pleasure.